All right, today is my birthday, and I'm going live with Jenn again to create a fabulous information reel here, live here, on how to tune into your energy. We're talking about human design energy, what kind of energy you came into this world with, and how, I'm trying to get Jenn on here, how you like create that energy in your business, in your life, and have aligned choices and aligned divinity come to you. And it's such a beautiful thing. All right, here is Jenn. Hooray, technology. All right. Hi, Jenn. Happy Monday.
Happy
Welcome
Monday,
back.
happy birthday.
Thank you. I couldn't help but not want, I didn't want to cancel today because it's like I'm on my birthday. This is the information I love to share. This is the information that I want people to have access to. And so I'm here to share away today, birthday or not.
Yeah, I love it. And I love talking about the five types and how we kind of set this up with you being a manifesting generator, you really understanding that sacral energy, what it means to be a generator, what it means to be a manifesting generator with that manifester aspect. And then I come in with my projector non-sacral wisdom to certainly talk about projectors, but also chat a little bit about manifestors and reflectors. So I am just so excited for this conversation today.
Me too. And I know this is similar for you, but I'll let you share your story on it too. But I know finding my energy type in human design was actually pretty profound for me. It really allowed me to release this box that I had put myself into. And this box really was restricting me from living my fullest expression because I was so afraid of other people saying things that have been said my whole life. You think too big, your energy is so big, you're so this, you're so that, blah, blah, blah. And I just got sick of hearing it. And so I would dim my light and not shine it very bright and try to hide, which, as anyone whose light needs to be shining, which is all of us, it is really hard to do that, and it can be really detrimental on our mental health and physical health. And so human design was a floodgate for me when it came to understanding who I was and specifically my energy, and that it was okay to be who I was or who I am.
Yeah. And talking about manifesting generators, I mean, let's definitely start there. I was thinking this week because a friend of mine who's a manifesting generator, of course, made the comment of, undiagnosed ADD. And we've talked about this in the past, but, I'm going through all of the manifesting generators that I know. And I'm like, you know what? All of them have undiagnosed ADD, whether it be the inattentive or hyperactive, like so it really is just part of that manifesting generator energy. And you certainly don't need I mean, gosh, I can go on a whole tangent about this and I won't today, but you certainly can, get medication and shift your energy, have that shifting your energy, or you can really embrace that flow. And I just love that you are doing that in your life, in your business. And yes, you certainly could go to a therapist and be like, I need to get diagnosed with ADD. But, human design therapist here would be like, no, actually, let's look at your human design. Okay, you're a manifesting generator. Let's embrace that. How can you allow yourself to flow and be inattentive or be hyperactive? Where can you channel that into to make your magic, to shine your light?
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the big things that I struggled with, was that I was like, how can I have a business? I always have all these to-do lists. I'm not organized. I'm not structured. I'm not all these I'm nots, right? We're coming through, when really there it's just a different way of creating these within your life, right? So instead of following the structured box of everybody else, being a manifesting generator totally gives me permission to throw all of that away and really truly own that I get to do it different, that I am a little bit all over the place. And just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean that it doesn't make sense to me. And so being able to just like own that has been huge. And people have commented on that even just in the last year of growth in my personal growth in myself. It's just, I've seen your energy shift, like your light is shining brighter. There's new things that I'm learning about you because you're being more open and being more in my energy. And that's so beautiful when people can get to know us on a truly heart, you know, consciousness level, I believe.
Yeah, and that's where the magic happens, right? When you step into your power, that is where you create, that is where you attract, that is where you live in alignment. For manifesting generators, that's where you get to live in that satisfaction. You're responding to everything that comes into your aura, your energy, and you can kind of know how to navigate and not live in a life of frustration anymore, which can be so relieving and so amazing.
So true. I know how to
I've
just
coached
manage my
so many.
frustration.
Right. I mean, that's one of the easiest ways that I coach generators, which isn't something I do often. But for generators, having that sacral energy, especially manifesting generators, having that motorized throat, that motorized expression, you can so easily fall in the frustration, right? Of all the conditioning to this, to that. So, when I coach generators, I often say, what's your frustration level like? Or they start telling me all their struggles and where they're at. And I'm like, are you living in a life of frustration? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what about satisfaction? They're like, what about it? And I'm like, what is that feeling? What brings you satisfaction? And I mean, really, we have to spend quite a few sessions just really unpacking and navigating satisfaction, because so many people are conditioned to not even know that it's possible to live your self theme. That's why it's your signature theme, and make all
Mhm.
that magic happen.
Yep. And the reason for that, as I'm sure you will agree and you can add to, but is really just we haven't been taught that, right? We haven't been taught to listen to the satisfaction of what lights us up. Instead, we've been told, well, you are really good at this, so you should go and do that. Or you're really good at this, or this is where you excel, or you're only going to make money if you are in this industry. And I have met and coached so many women who are leaving careers or things that they've built, which is really scary when you've been doing it for the last, 15, 20 years, to step away from something that you are known for, to then make that pivot and switch into what actually brings you joy and satisfaction. And so many people wait till they're in retirement to then go and live this life, but why not do it now if you can?
Absolutely. And why not honor your energy, step into your energy? And, one of the biggest things when I see people really understanding their type and embracing it, and I think, both of us speak to this, is that life, I hate to use the word easier, right? Because life is not easy. We still, are figuring out how to be human beings, right? Deconditioning from the doing.
Yeah.
But you get to find the simplicity in life, the ease, right? The mind completely overanalyzes things and makes life so much more difficult. But when we have just simply our type with our strategy, with our self and our not self theme, we get to fall back on that. And it's much easier to navigate through the conditioning, to be in our light, to be in our magic. So this is why just talking about the 5 types, knowing your type, knowing your partner's type, your coworker's type, your team's type, your kids' type can be a huge door that unlocks to alignment, to deconditioning, and all the magic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know we've talked a lot about manifesting generators and this sacral. But before we switch over, because want you to start talking about what it's like to be a projector and also what it was like to find that out and kind of for you as well, get that permission slip. But before we move on, I just want to say too, like with manifestors and manifesting generators, yes, we have that sacral. Yes, we have this like energy that's all over the place, but we're also like we're builders and express builders, right? We're here to make stuff happen. And so it really is owning that joy and that satisfaction and bringing back the energy that just lights us up completely so that we can have permission to feel that everything we want is coming to us, right? So it's that magnetic aura to create the opportunities that we draw into us to allow us to have the things that we desire. And that was a long way of me saying that, but I guess what I was really trying to say is just like when we can own how magnetic we naturally are and lean back into that,
Yes.
opportunities come our way. And then we just have to allow ourselves to respond to what lights us up, which is
Yes.
amazing.
Right. And especially with the sacral magic, right? It's really cool because I see such a similarity in manifesting generators because you tend to have a bit more definition, right? You have that defined sacral, you have that defined throat connected to a motor center. That's what makes you a manifesting generator. So you have this fuel, this really life force energy, where I see generators are so different. I think in some cases generators are almost more similar to projectors because they can just have two centers defined, right? They can have that defined sacral that's connected to one other center, and then they can be completely open. So it's not that they have all this energy because they only have one motor center, right? I
Mhm.
have three motor centers, just not the sacral. So there are some generators that I actually have more energy in the moment when I'm in alignment than a generator who's out of alignment. So it's really
Mhm.
interesting. So I feel like, yes, we can talk to generators here with the defined sacral, with your definition, with that life force energy. But beyond that, it's so much more unique than just that sacral. It's really like, well, what other gifts do you have? What other definition? What other openness, right? What other conditioning have you experienced? So I think there's so much more that can be said for generators.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. And thank you for bringing that up because my husband has a chart like that where it's like the one is his sacral is lit up, but then the energy, no other motor centers are lit up. And so I'm the one that kind of brings that, right, for our family, which most of the time feels really good, but sometimes can feel a bit draining because I got a manifestor and a projector. So I've got lots of energy to give out.
Right. And we all absorb it, right? We
Yeah.
amplify that energy and absorb it. So for everybody tuning in live or with the replay too, drop your type in the
Oh,
comments.
yes, please
Yes.
do.
And if you
Yeah.
don't know your type, you put your birth info into a free calculator, I guess you can call it, online. Just Google human design for human design chart. I like to use myhumandesign.com. There's genetic matrix, there's so many. So just find your type. Beautiful. We have another manifesting generator here live with
Yay.
us.
I love
Welcome.
that. I feel the energy.
Yes. So
Um,
yeah, that's where it begins.
yeah, I'd love to know if the person who is a manifesting generator can relate to some of the things we've already talked about. I don't know how much you've heard, but if you're still here, what are some of the things that you feel knowing that you're a manifesting generator, you've been able to shed or release that have really helped you step into that manifesting generator role, that energy type, because I think that really is what opens us up when you can connect with other people who are the same energy type as you and understand what did they do or how did they take it and learn from them, right? Because this isn't something you hear and you're just like, oh my God, that's amazing, because we've been conditioned to not think in this way. And so I know maybe for you as a projector, when you heard about what you are, I don't know what your reaction was, whether it sort of felt so aligned or if it was a little bit like, oh, this doesn't relate because you had some things to clear or conditioning to clear.
Yeah. Oh, I love what Transformational Travels is saying. We actually have two Manny Gens on here. So yeah,
Nice.
feeling like your energy was too big. So that was something when I found out that I was a projector, that I didn't have energy, right? So 70% of the world is generators and manifesting generators. 70% of the world has that defined sacral. So that this world has been going on forever, right? Projectors are only around for like 400 years. Oh my gosh, we have two Bridgets on here. Yay!
Oh, amazing.
Two Bridget Manny Gens. I love it.
Love
Um,
it.
yeah, so when I found out, like, oh, I don't have a defined sacral, I don't have this life force energy, it was like the biggest sigh of relief because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to feel like I have to keep up, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I have motor centers, but I don't have the sacral that is like the energizer bunny. So it was such a relief to be like, my gosh, I don't have to try to be so much, right? It was almost the opposite, right? Manny Gens get told, oh, you're too much. You have too much energy. And I totally get that. There are times where I'm like, ooh, that Manny Gen energy is a little too much. I need to go lay horizontal and release it. But growing up, it was like, no, how do I harness this? How can I show up? I need to show up as a Manny Gen in order to get anything out of life. And
Yeah.
that's why I wasn't really finding anything out of life. So, yeah, there's so much relief in finding the types that you don't have to, in my case, it was kind of like pretending, right? I was trying to pretend and it just led to burnout because I am not a Manny Gen. Like, no.
No, and nor should you be, right? Because that's what's so beautiful is that like anything, because sometimes I feel like people say like, oh, I have this profile line or I have this. I'm like, why? There's no stigma around any of this. This is just your permission slip to fully step into your power and understand how to do it in a way that creates the best and most aligned success for yourself. And that's what human design is about. So if you're struggling, right, in life, in business, with your kids,
Mhm.
relationships, I don't want to be like it's the problem solver, right? Because it's a tool, it's a modality. Jenn's like, yes, it is the problem solver.
As as a
Actually,
3-5 therapist and coach, it is my problem solver.
and I guess I say it as a blanket statement because honestly, anyone who comes
Yeah.
to me and anybody who I've worked with has had those transformations, right? And it's a way that probably I communicate it, just like it's a way that you communicate and you know how to pull, as an intuitive information out of your clients. And now I don't know where I was going with this whole story, but I think my point was that no, I don't know. I lost it. It's
That's
gone.
all right.
Manny
So,
Jenny here.
right? I totally get it. And I'm feeling all the energy too. So it's really cool just to see virtually, like, we have this little group here right now. But we feel the energy, and my open sacral just eats it all up, right? Amplifying it and receiving it. So, again, the relief of knowing that I was a projector was being like, oh, I don't have to hold on to this. I don't need to mistake this as mine, right? I am here. I am with you all. I am present. I am riding this energetic high. But like when we get off, I'm actually doing another live, but with a projector. I'm going to go lay down. I'm going to release this energy because if I hold on to it, right, I certainly can hold on to it. I can go home tonight. I can get tons of stuff done, but I'm going to be so utterly burned out after that. I have learned honoring my energy, honoring my open sacral, that I essentially can't mistake that energy. Yes, I can utilize it when we're together, but when we part, I need to come back into my own energy so that I can be in alignment, so that I cannot burn out, because I came from a life of burnout. I worked hard to be a therapist, be licensed, be a clinical counselor. Then I decided I'm going to build a private practice too, right? Priding myself on working 12-hour days, busting through, pushing through burnout to then, reach my goals and be like, okay, now what? So really human design found me at the perfect time when I could say, I don't need to pride myself on 12-hour days. I'm going to do this at my own speed. It is okay. I do things differently. And that's how I need to do them, right? The projector
Yeah.
way is a unique, often misunderstood way, but it's a necessary path that we have to navigate and take.
Yes. Yes. And I just want to comment on your burnout because I do feel as someone of the manifesting generator, like I've experienced burnout before because we experience it when we're not in alignment, right? When we're constantly pushing or we're constantly saying yes to things because people will ask us, oh, you're like, they're not going to be like, you're a manifesting generator because most people don't know that, but they
Right.
know that I have energy. They know I have that sustaining energy. They know I have the ways to get things done, right? I'm an express builder. I can do things, make things happen. And I do feel like, um, there's been times when I have driven myself to the ground in burnout trying to please other people, which has kicked me out of alignment of what my energy is actually here to do. And that was really challenging for me to realize that that was what was happening, right? That was why. And so understanding that now, I can be like, oh, I have all this energy, but it needs to be in ways that light me up, create joy, and working in a job like that dead end job, or if you're
Yes.
struggling, where you just feel like your talents and you're not able to express them, you're not able to use them in the way that you desire, that's going to lead you to burnout 100%.
Right. I had a generator just the other day look at me and be like, do generators burn out? And I was like, yes, absolutely they do. So I love that Bridget brought up boundaries. Boundaries has been huge for her
Mm,
as a Manny Gen because, right, we all can burn out. No one is immune or exempt from burnout. And absolutely, people pleasing, especially when we talk about the heart with boundaries and people pleasing and worth,
yeah.
like that's my favorite Saturday to talk about. Like we need boundaries. And as a self-proclaimed boundaries queen, I get it. And that's what I really help people do, is set up emotional boundaries to protect your energy, your emotions, you. So yes, I love that you brought that up, Bridget. I am Jenn, and this is Mistral.
Yay. I'm so glad you're here. We'll see every day she goes live. So that's awesome for her breathwork group. I love
Love
it.
it. And you can catch the replay. The replay
Yeah.
will be posted.
Yeah. We'll have to come join her breathwork class.
Yes, I know, more boundaries. And that's just to tack on the breath work, when it comes to whatever type, so knowing your type is super helpful to know how your energy flows through your body, but just knowing it isn't actually embodying your design. And I always get the question of like, what can I do to help me embrace my energy? And like breath work, EFT, tapping, Reiki, all of those things that move the energy through our body. Because even though, I work to release my sacral energy, there still gets some stored. So I love breath work where you do that fire breathing, the Kundalini to really get that out because I just feel the energy moving and we all need it, especially the more open we are. I find that you need to move it more and as a split definition too, right? The more definition splits that we have, the more we need it.
Yeah. It's really hard for us to talk about one aspect of human design, considering they're also connected.
I know.
But yeah, I love the, and breath work is something that funnily enough, I love the idea of that moving energy through, right? And so some ideas for the people who maybe feel resistance, right, towards breath work or kind of doing yoga or different things that might bring up that sacral, something that I really love doing that works for me because I oftentimes struggle to sit and meditate. I struggle to like journal. I struggle to do all these things that we're supposed to do. So I've just found different ways of doing them. So for me, I love to move that fire energy, my sacral energy through hula hooping, right? The hoop really connects with my sacral. I can move it up and down my body. It feels very sensual and sexy as well, which I think is really huge when you're really trying to step into your power, whether you're manifesting generator or projector or reflector, any kind of thing that helps you connect with that divine feminine, right? So for me, that has been really powerful in sort of awakening my sacral and shifting that energy. And it's something I actually, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I do it every day before I go, live or kind of come into creating content for my business or anything, because really in general we want to come into alignment every day before we are interacting with other people, because it allows us to ground our energy, it allows us to really own who we are, and it allows us to feel confident and love ourselves first and foremost before we then like present our energy out into the world, right? Which as coaches allows us to then also be more in that intuitive reflective space almost for our clients versus nitpicky or whatever, or just bad juju energy.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's keys to doing that for each type, right? Yes, we need to do that as human beings, but depending on your type and depending on your individual unique chart, there's different ways that can help you. And, as you were talking and sharing what you do, Mistral, I was thinking about our chat about the arrows, because I think it's really about the
Yes.
arrows, your arrows, and how to harness those to utilize. So
Which
I feel
really
like,
helps. Yep.
right, right. So I feel like we have
Another.
come back to our types here.
Hmm.
So continuing about projectors. Okay, let's talk about the strategy for projectors, the self and not self theme, right? So the
Great.
strategy is to wait for recognition, wait for the invitation, right? We were just talking about Mistral and I both are going to combine forces for a monthly Q&A that all of you are welcome to come to. And I said to her, why I started my Q&A was because I just wanted to show up and wait for the invitation, right? Anyone who I'm assuming that anyone who comes to the Q&A recognizes me, us in our field, in our, energy, however we are. And then you're bringing a question, which is an invitation. So it's a great way for me to be in alignment as a projector because there's not doing, right? I'm not a generator. I'm not here to do. I am here to guide and be the seer. Hence why I became a therapist. Like when I learned about my human design, I just kept going, oh, no wonder I'm a therapist. No wonder I'm a coach. I'm the
Yeah.
guide. I'm the seer. And that's where I find my success, right? Success is the signature theme of projectors. Bitterness is the not self theme. So it was really interesting, looking at my burnout, looking at my pre-human design life and just noticing how much bitterness there actually was, because bitterness isn't talked about a lot. So I didn't even really know, like, what is the emotion of bitterness? I'm pretty sure I'm bitter blind. Most projectors taste bitterness,
Oh,
but
wow.
I I don't really, I'm like, okay, that's not great, but I'm not like, oh my God, that's bitter. Um,
Yeah.
so but most people do. So it was really a learning curve for deconditioning to understand what bitterness actually is. And with 22% of the world now being projectors, we're projected onto. So that was helpful to know as a 5 line, right? I'm a double projector.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it just makes sense to understand the projector type. Projectors are so different. We have 5 different authorities. So, our charts are so different from one another more than the other types. So there's so much to being a projector. Just the projector wound that we carry from society, from our
Mm.
families, from just everything. So I mean, gosh, I can talk so much to being a projector.
No, and I love that you say this because I have a projector son. So I'm kind of learning through him, right? How he navigates the world and what wait for the invitation and that, bitterness actually looks like for him. And I'm still figuring it out because he's 9 and he's active and when I found he's a projector, I was like, what? Because he is like an energizer buddy. So I was like, wait a second, I don't think projectors are supposed to be like that. But when you are in alignment with what you love and what you're doing, I mean, you can literally do it for a long time and then crash, right? And rest. And his, 10 hours of sleep every night, that's his crash and rest. And he's
Right.
then wakes up rejuvenated to do all those things that he loves
Yes.
doing, which is being outside and playing soccer and throwing the basketball and whatever. But that understand, like just watching him in social situations and how he, for example, he'll just like follow kids around at the playground until somebody recognizes him and
Oh,
invites him in. And then it's beautiful. But when I
oh,
when I didn't know he was a projector, I used to almost try to make those things happen for him,
yeah.
which of course never went well, right? Because it's me
Right.
interfering with what he actually needed. So by me just letting him do his thing, even though I was like, oh, I feel so sad, he's just like following these kids around and they're not noticing him. Eventually they will. And then he'll be invited in and he'll feel really wonderful and they'll have an amazing time. And so that's just like a small kid child like perspective from me, but just watching and interacting with that energy has been huge. And then I did want to comment on the fact that you said, you know, projectors are so, there's only 22% of them, right? They're still kind of being discovered. And Ra wasn't even like a projector himself, right? So like even just as a projector, you probably are feeling things or leaning into things that maybe in human design are kind of like undiscovered still a
Mhm.
little bit potentially.
Yeah.
Um, and so with this projector energy and then realizing that you really are productive in chunks, how
Mhm.
did you then put that into your everyday life as a projector? Because I think that could be really important for people watching this. Is like, how do I manage my energy as a projector when I'm supposed to work this 9 to 5, or I'm in my business and I'm like working 14-hour days because that's what I think I have to do in order to be successful?
Right. So that was a huge aspect of deconditioning for me, of coming into my own energy. When I heard that projectors are only supposed to work 2 to 4 hours a day, I was like, okay, I get that, especially as a therapist. Especially during COVID, I was like, man, I can only see 4 clients a day. Like that is my max because I'm sharing in that energy.
Mm.
And then the other piece of this is that projectors work on quality, right? Generators, mani-gens work more on quantity. If it lights you up, you can do it. You can do it all well. And it like quality isn't even really like a thing because it just kind of comes with it, right? It lights you up. You're going to do it well. For projectors, we're all about quality. And I did Sarah's Projectors on Purpose program, and it really just even enhanced more so me being a projector and really understanding what it means to be a projector. Um, soul, soul stories. Sarah is so wonderful. If you're a projector, go
Mm.
check her out for sure. So she talked about the quality that once we hit 80%, right, we get our 10 hours of sleep. I myself need 9 hours of sleep. Like I only got about 7 last night because of the time change. And I'm here for this hour and I worked all morning so that I could be here. Because as soon as my quality, right, when I get off my second live at like 5 o'clock, 4:30, my quality is going to be below 80%. And that's why I know that I'm done for the day. So I have been blessed to have the best biz bestie accountability partner who is a self-projected projector. She does calendar clarity. So she helped me create my calendar for my energy. So, she's a projector. She understands I'm, telling her all this. We work on quality. I can only work, 2 to 4 hours a day. So she really helped me set my calendar up for success in my business. And what that looks like for me, right? Everybody's a little different. I tend to have most of my good quality energy in the morning, right? I'm motivated. So that's when I do more admin tasks. Like this morning, I set everything up, made sure it was spot on for my emotional masterclass at the end of the month, which I'm so excited about. Busted out a few more things, made sure I was ready for this afternoon, and then I checked out. And now I'm showing up again for another 2 hours. So I tend to do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, because that's what works best for me. I usually get back in bed, right? I get horizontal. My bed is my favorite spot, or my couch, the sunshine. I go out in nature, all the things that projectors love and need. But when I harnessed that calendar, which was probably like 4 years ago, everything started to get much easier, right? I wasn't burned out at the end of the day. I was able to show up, get work done, do it good, because projectors are so efficient, right? I did something for Mistral
Yes.
and was like, oh yeah, busted it out. Oh, that's just projector and her efficiency.
Yeah. I was like, wait, how did you do that again? Because my mind is like, well, I have 10 things that I want to work on right now. And so I'm going to go from here to here to here. And sometimes that works if I keep a list. And other times I have to try and focus in a little bit different or put my other distractions away, because that is really hard for me. But I do love that schedule of, for me, super productive in the morning, take a couple hours off, do a little bit more in the afternoon. And then I like to be off by like 3 or 4. I like to be done and just be in my day of flow of what I want to do. But my little breaks throughout the day are like dancing, hula hooping, going for a walk,
Right.
grounding,
You're
whatever I
expelling
need.
energy.
Yes,
You're getting that out.
expelling.
I'm resting to save it.
Yeah. I
Because
love
it's
it.
so important for projectors. And to move on to manifestors, which are only 8%. Manifestors are similar in that they need to rest because of that non-sacral, right? We take on the sacral energy throughout the day. But manifestors are different because they still have the motor, that motorized throat. So they have more ebbs and flows. I actually shared on my stories a great description of the manifestor energy cycle today, from the what is she? Hypnotherapist, human design hypnotherapist,
Oh,
I
I
think
love
she is.
her.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's so great.
so great.
So she really just described how manifestors get all this energy. They get charged up, they initiate, they get their stuff done, and then they need to sink back into a rest cycle and honor that, right? Handing it off to a generator that lights them up so that they can do it, so that they can just rest. We still need rest. But
Right.
manifestors don't need as much energy. I'm sorry, they don't need as much rest as projectors. And I think
Mhm.
you can probably speak to the other manifestor qualities of the initiation, of informing, of the anger versus peace.
Well, I actually really love that you said that they kind of like do take action on something and then pass it off, because that's the initiation, right? That's initiating the work, but then they've initiated it and now they get to hand it off to a builder, right? Someone who's got the energy, who can take the flow. Because just because they initiate something doesn't mean it's theirs to see through to the end. In some cases, absolutely. But in other cases, right, especially as a manifestor who's a CEO, well, yeah, you've got to be able to have these big ideas, but then you've got your people to help bring them to fruition, right? And so my daughter is actually a manifestor, and I do see the difference between my son and my daughter. And she is so efficient, and he is still learning that piece of his projector energy, but she is so efficient at getting started, getting things done. And then she'll hand it, like, funnily enough, she'll hand it off to, either she's done or she'll hand it off to us to like support her finishing the last little bit. She's young, she's 7. So like homework, for example, right? Like reading or writing. But it is so interesting that she has the energy, and but she also, like, my son will play outside for hours. She loves to sit by the window and just contemplate, and just be in her imagination almost of like probably thinking up big ideas, and then she'll go and
Yeah.
initiate things. Like she starts recording YouTube videos. They don't go anywhere. They're still on our iPad, but she's recording videos and she's doing different things that light her up. And it's really
Yeah.
beautiful to, and then when she's done with it and kind of moves on, which is really
Yeah.
beautiful.
I love that you have your kids to look at this because kids are the least conditioned, right?
Right.
They haven't lived the decades that we have experiencing all the conditioning. And, I also like to think that maybe they're growing up in a less conditioning world. Right. I really hope so. But it's really cool to see their energy at work and honor it, because then it's less conditioning that you're doing as a parent to them, right? Conditioning is always going to happen. It's just part of being human. But to really honor and say, wow, this is part of them, and to encourage that your daughter start these things and that your son, waits for the invitation on the playground. Like those are so beautiful. And that's going to help them find peace, find success.
Yep. Yep. And then, going back to the manifester and the not self theme of like this deep, deep anger. My daughter is so peaceful, but something can happen and there'll be like a flick of a switch. And suddenly she is yelling at me and like, and I'm like, it's kind of like that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, there's that manifestor anger, and then she's so passionate about what she's telling me about. That's what brings the anger out too, is it they're passionate about what it is that they're trying to either have you see or understand. And obviously that looks very different for a 7-year-old girl compared to a 30-year-old woman or man. And so with the conditioning, but it's really interesting to watch how she processes that information, or the anger, sorry. And then once it's out though, it's out. And then
Yeah.
she's back to having peace
Oh,
because she's kind of realigned herself almost. And so I've learned, instead of trying to intervene with that anger, let it go, let it come, right? Because we all know that we want to bring our emotions to the surface so we're not holding them trapped or harbored,
mhm.
but then also allowing her to release it and feeling safe and comfortable, knowing that, obviously she's so young. We're not talking about this is a manifestor thing and da 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 da. Yeah, I mean, we
Right.
kind of are, not really, but she'll start to understand how to manage that more or prevent that anger, right? Because she'll understand that she needs to inform for certain things, and that yes, when she does initiate, she doesn't need to keep initiating it. It can be handed off to other people and things like that.
Yeah, I love how you spoke about her anger, because that is the biggest coaching piece that I give to
Mm,
manifestors, especially emotional manifestors, right? Because you have that emotional
right.
wave that really kind of heightens that anger. So yeah, to really just honor it and feel through it and release that, right? Manifestors really need to express that anger because they have that motorized throat. Like when they feel it, just get it out in whatever, safe, healthy way of expression you need. And then, oh, back to peace. Like it gets to be that simple. That's why I find
Yep.
more manifestors already living in alignment, right? Because society, we know what anger is. You just have to honor your anger and release it, not try to stuff it down. And then peace, like, yeah, we all want to live in peace. So as long as you're initiating, which comes so naturally for manifestors, and the biggest thing that I hear from manifestors is, I don't finish a lot. Like I lack follow through. It's like, well, you're supposed to. Good. You're
Yeah.
you're living in alignment. Don't
Yeah.
follow through. Like, don't
You
finish
hand
things,
that off.
right?
Yeah.
Find a generator. So
Mm.
yeah, it's really cool to see manifestors living in alignment. And I always find, I don't know if you ever find this, I attract so many manifestors. Like there will be different points in my life where like half the people I'm surrounded by are manifestors. And I have to like check the stats and be like, only 8% of the world is manifestors, and I know 10 right now. Like,
How is that?
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because I attract a lot of projectors, and I wonder if it's at my sacral energy and that I'm activating something within them that they come to me, because oftentimes, you would think I would just attract mostly generators and manifesting generators, but I
Mm.
attract these beautiful guides who just need, I think what they need is they see my inspiration, or they get activated, right, in some
Yeah.
way by what I'm
Yeah.
saying, what I'm doing, probably with my defined throat. Theirs is probably undefined.
Right.
And they need that almost like my energy to push them forward, but I have to be really conscious of like saying too much on the coaching call, because I don't want them to be like yes, 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 and then leave that call and
Right.
lose all that energy, right? So I have to be very aware of that too, because there is that giving and receiving of energy in our coaching. But then making sure that they have the ability to sustain it and it is aligned for them too.
And this is why this is a great, circling back to why it's so important to know your own type as a business owner, especially as a coach, and to know your client's type so that you can know how you affect them, right? When we talk about the heart, I always talk about how my defined heart has always influenced my clients. And then they'll leave and they'll come back kind of like guilty and shameful and be like, I didn't follow through on that. I'm like, that's right. You didn't have the willpower. That was my willpower in the session, you getting excited,
Mm,
and you left and didn't have that. So,
yep.
let's just let it
Same
go. Is
thing,
it
right?
something you want
Yeah.
to do? Right.
Right.
So, yes, I love what you're saying because as a projector, I really need a coach that has a motorized throat. I
Yep.
need that motorized expression to help me sometimes just sort it out, right? Get it out and express it. And other times, especially with that sacral too, to help me like do the damn thing. Because
Yeah.
I think it and it sits up here, especially with my gate 41 conscious sun, the shadows fantasy, like I can, yeah, this world, this and that would be so great, but there's nothing to bring it down and make me on it, right? That's part of my split definition, my openness that I'm working to align with and to work with. So it's beautiful to have a manifesting generator coach to really, it's because projectors can have a defined throat, but we don't have a motorized throat, right? We're not manifestors. We don't have that manifestor quality. So just that simple piece can really make a huge difference in life and business and whatever goals you're working towards.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But then I will say that many of my coaches who got me to where I am today are projectors, because the projectors are these beautiful guides who see all of my potential. They see where I'm failing. They see where I need to pivot to, where I need to go, right? You're these people who they just know it. They see it. They see the best within us. It's almost like you're going inside of me and being like, I know everything here. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of resistance. And I have to say, thank God my projector coach was so like, she'd push and then she'd leave it. And then she'd push a little bit more and leave it. And finally I would be like, oh, I get it. But that's, projectors are wonderful coaches for that reason too, because they really see you for who
Right.
you are.
And we didn't even mention the auras on our chat today, but I was actually with a projector friend this morning and we got started talking about that. And I was like, can you feel my penetrating energy getting into your soul? And he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, I can. And his wife is a reflector, which we will talk about next. And I said, do you feel like this with your wife? And he was like, well, I feel, seen, but no, I don't feel like she's staring into my soul. And I was like, well, her being a reflector, she's just reflecting your energy back. So you feel your own projectorness being reflected back. So, yes, absolutely. Projectors are going to see into you. And especially, when we're trained in, coaching, therapy, counseling, whatever aspect, we know what to do with that, right? We're not giving unsolicited advice, which will always end up in bitterness. But we can really utilize this gift. And essentially why we're here is to help people navigate in the new paradigm, right? We don't know what to do. What's
Yes.
this energy going on? People are doing all these other things, maybe not in alignment at all. So we're really here to guide when there's the invitation to do so. And it's so beautiful how all the types really work together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is just like such an important comment to say right now that we've just talked about it, is that if you are looking for a coach, right? If you're someone who's stuck and you're like, okay, I really need some support getting through XYZ, it's so important to really vet your coach, because I've worked with so many coaches before thinking this is talking more about business, right? So I was trying to like create, structures and systems in my business. And I kept signing on to these, programs that promised all these big things and it never worked. And when I reflect back, I'm like, oh, that's because I was trying to do it in this way that's not suitable for my energy type, or in this way. And so it really is important that when you're looking for support, I think someone who understands human design is just so huge, because we understand your blueprint. We understand how you're designed to show up, where you're being stuck, where you've been conditioned. Sometimes I can see it straight away just from what people are saying, because I'm like, oh, I know exactly where to look in your chart with that, which is wonderful when they're so honest, because it makes it easier. But it really is, when you're looking for somebody to work with, somebody who can really understand you on such an energetic level it's paramount.
Absolutely. And especially depending on what you're looking for in coaching, right? If you're looking for more therapy, counseling, a projector would be great because they can guide you and see you if that's what you're needing. But if you're needing motivation and energy and that power to initiate, going to a manifesting generator is going to be what you're needing. Again, if you're looking for more of the personal, maybe a reflector, right? Who's going to reflect it back to you. But I often don't see reflector business coaches. Sure, they'll reflect your business back, but they're not going to, motivate you and push you and do all the power, because they're just sitting in your energy and just being that mirror, assuming they're living in alignment.
Right.
So yeah, to end, because I have to get
Oh my
on to the
gosh.
next one soon.
I've been chatting for ages. I love it. Okay.
I know. So reflectors, now it's more like 2% of the world are reflectors, and they're completely open, no definition. So that is why they just sample the environment. Their environment is so important to them so that they can be in surprise, in delight, not fall into the shadow of disappointment. And they are lunar beings. They are all about the moon. They need to wait a lunar cycle to sort through things, to wait for the clarity to come. I'm a conscious reflector, so it's really cool to play with my conscious reflector energy. Like it just makes sense. So reflectors are so special and so wonderful. And when they are in alignment, just their sampling aura, they're wonderful to be around. Like I don't know if you have experience with reflectors, but I found myself around a lot of those too.
Oh, really? It's so funny. It's so funny because am yet to meet a reflector. So that I know of, right? Like I don't know all of my friends, but now
Right.
that I know human design, I can kind of, you can kind of guess, like, I think they might be at this based on these attributes. So I'm yet to meet a reflector, because I think that would be really special to be in the presence of somebody and be able to kind of tap into that reflection of myself, right?
Yeah, it's so cool. And just, when for everyone who's watching who works with the moon, like we all might have some reflector qualities in our chart. So if you do, you really do need to work with the moon energy in whatever way that you feel called, in whatever way you notice, because it will help you find that alignment.
Mm-hmm. Which I think our Fur S Junior here needs to go find some alignment, because clearly he's wasting his energy on us.
Yes, yes, yes. And
So
it's so funny, just, in the social media sphere as a projector, I'm like, is that a good use of your energy? And usually it's like, no, but I'm not going to be the one to tell you about that because that's unsolicited advice.
right. As a manifesting generator, I'll be glad to tell you that.
Love it.
So I guess in final notice, if you haven't got your chart and you need it, drop the word chart. We'll figure it out. We'll get you there for it. If you want to join us for our live Q&A at the end of the month, DM us. Drop a comment below. We will reach out to you and make sure that you're on our mailing list so that you get those specific invites. And of course, we are open to the DM, so come and say hello whenever you want. And we'll see you next Monday. We're going to be we're starting in the energy centers now that we've kind of dove into just what your energy is. And so we're going to start actually going into each center, starting with the crown, or the at the top of the head. So we'll be going through that tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week.
Next week. So we will be back with all of those, and we'll get to talk more about the HD Q&A. So Mistral, I hope you have a wonderful birthday, a wonderful solar return for yourself in this Pisces season. I love it. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
Thanks, Jen. Enjoy.